Hello, welcome to the annual review for the IntelSense advisories for the year gone by. So let's quickly delve in. First, the performance report. The long-term advisory returned roughly 60%, hit picks roughly 92%, and quant 98%. Now, in hit picks, the result is for an incomplete year. We started in June, so we've not yet completed 1 year. So this is the XIRR in terms of returns. If you see the last year, the returns from Nifty and Nifty 500 were roughly around 78-76%, which means that the overall returns for the market was extremely good. And one of the reasons for that is we started the financial year in April 2020, where we were just coming off the huge COVID crash. So obviously, the returns look spectacular because of the low base where we started. Now, having said that, it's not easy to be able to get this kind of returns or any kind of good returns in a year like this, because there is a lot of skepticism, there's a lot of fear when you go through this kind of a period. And I remember nearly every month I receive emails from people, even now, when either somebody is scared and they want to take money out from their holdings, or they're scared to get in. And to remain calm and composed in the face of a great deal of volatility and uncertainty, and when you can see serious negative news flow all around you, is not something which is to be trivialized. It's something, if you've stayed committed, if you've listened to the advice and followed what we've been saying, you would have actually done yourself a good turn, because you would be able to get a reasonably good return. The other important point is that individual performances will definitely vary from the model portfolio, simply because of the fact that different people join in at different periods of time. Allocations will be slightly varying here and there, but I think those are not very critical differences for people who've joined new or joined during the year. It's okay. I mean, it usually takes a while to build up your portfolio. I always recommend buying in staggered mode. Buying in a staggered mode is always going to be detrimental in a rising market like what we've seen in the last year, but it will work to your advantage most of the times where the market is not in such a strong bull spell. So let me talk a little bit about the three advisories in terms of numbers and how and what we achieved. The long-term advisory, throughout the year we held 20 stocks. We added 7 new stocks. We sold 4, 3 of them at profit and 1 at a loss. The average ROC of the portfolio is roughly 20%, and the average debt to equity, excluding the financials of course, is 0.25. Now what that means is it reflects the focus that we have on companies which have higher return ratios and low debt. The revenue growth was 7.6% for the companies that we hold this year, primarily because most were hit very significantly due to COVID. Earnings growth was robust at 32-33%, and operating margin was at 28.7%. Again, going to show that we are focusing on companies where they are able to generate very strong margins. A look at the maximum and the minimum market cap of the companies that we hold. So we hold stocks between 4 lakh crores on the upside to 1600 crores in the downside. So the entire spectrum. So mega caps to small caps. So it's truly a well diversified basket of stocks. The objective is not to maximize our profits here in the long term advisory, but to get good long term compounding and reasonable returns over time. So the focus is always on having good quality companies which can compound well over time. Moving on, hit picks. Again, we recommended 20 stocks from when we launched. 12 of them were profitable, so roughly a hit ratio or a win ratio of 60%, which is actually on the higher side for any kind of technical trading or investing. Best performer has been a stock which went up 80%, and the worst was one where we took a 15% loss. The average duration that we held the stocks for, including the current ones which are currently open, is roughly about 2 months, 10-15 days. And the maximum duration we held a stock was for 188 days, which is roughly 6 months. The minimum duration was when a stock hit its stop loss within a week. So again, the idea of hit picks is to let your winners run, to cut your losers short. We have a time horizon of 2 months to 6 months, and that's exactly, the data reflects that that's what we've been trying to achieve. And the way to think about hit picks is we are taking our capital and we are turning over our capital faster as compared to a buy and hold strategy, and that in itself tends to generate higher returns. So if you are able to generate, say 10% every quarter, then over a period of 1 year you will probably end up getting slightly more than 40% because of the compounding effect, and which is actually a phenomenal kind of return. So that's the objective, and that's what we're trying to do in hit picks. In quant, for the positions that we closed during the financial year, we had 95 stocks that we had recommended. A large majority, 82% of them were profitable. The stock that did best was up 138%, and the stock that did the worst was down 33%. The best month we had, a month-on-month gain was 18% in February, and the worst monthly performance was roughly -1% in October. Again, we've been true to promise in the sense that we've been following a disciplined, systematic approach, taking away all discretionary questions of should we invest now, should we wait, all of those things, the psychological biases we've taken out, and we followed a system consistently, and the system has given us very good results as we've seen before. Excuse me. So a quick look at the kind of year we had. Obviously, I think 2020 will forever remain etched in our minds as the year of COVID, the pandemic. And in a year like this, we tend to self-reflect and question a lot of our assumptions about life, about the way we invest, where we lead our lives, where we stay, what we do. And this year was particularly difficult because we could see a huge disconnect between what was happening around us, the news flow, and what we were seeing in the stock market. There were a large number of people, 2.7 million people have died with diseases attributed to COVID during the last 1 year. 90% of the global economies have gone into recession together. which is something that is sort of unprecedented. I don't have data whether it happened like this during the Spanish flu or during the world wars, but I've studied World War II at least. I don't think this was the case. But this has been unprecedented in a way, and to counter that, every country in the world has sort of, to the best of their ability, tried to prop up their markets or tried to prop up their economies, whether it's through bond purchases, whether it's direct intervention in the money markets, whether it's through giving out handouts to people, reducing interest rates, you name it. Everybody, all the countries have tried to do their best in terms of helping their people and their economies. As you know, based on the data from IMF, what we've seen is countries have given between 2.5% to 10% of their GDP as intervention into their local economies. When you look at India, I think there was a very, very large, sharp contraction in GDP growth. We were down 24% in the first quarter of last year. And now I think we've got into a situation where we are slowly coming out of it. Today itself, there was news that IMF has upgraded their GDP growth forecast from 11.5 to 12.5%. So the next couple of years are likely to be good from an economic perspective or economic growth perspective, because of two. One, because of the kind of interventions that we've seen from the government in terms of infrastructure and others, and of course because we will be looking at a very low base effect. If I look at the markets, you'll see that both Nifty and Nifty 500 has looked more or less identical throughout the year, which basically means that the larger stocks have performed more or less in line with what has been happening in the overall market. Markets have been extremely strong. The another interesting part that we've seen is a lot more people, retail investors, moving away from mutual funds to direct investing. So there's been a huge and consistent outflow. I think there was 7-month consistent outflow from equity mutual funds, which started in July 2020, and it's still continuing. And on the other hand, we see a large number of new demat accounts. I think 11 million, close to 11 million new demat accounts have been opened post April 2020, and retail holding in NSE listed stocks has moved up from I think 4.5-5% to about 7%, which is an all-time high. There's been very, very strong FII inflows during the year, which has helped us help prop up the market or help the kind of rise that we've seen in the markets over the last 1 year. Now the way I look at 2021 and 2022 is that obviously the markets now are at an elevated level, and they have been for a while now. Most good quality businesses that I study, they are not available cheap. But as I've been consistently saying, I think I started saying this from the December monthly Q&A. I think we are in a liquidity led bull rally, and it's unlikely to come unlikely to stop anytime soon. It's going to be there. We are in a bull market with and you can expect short, sharp corrections in between, and most likely I think that the focus will move from large caps to mid caps and small caps over the next year and a half. We will continue to use the same approach for each of our advisory services. For long term, we continue to focus on good quality companies. We may shift slightly from a large cap mid cap orientation to more of a large mid cap and small cap orientation over the period of the next 6 months to a year. but the whole idea is to have a portfolio which allows us to sleep well at night. I am okay to give away a little bit of returns in uh, you know to protect major falls in my portfolio, in the especially in the long term portfolio. So the focus is always going to be on capital protection and risk management, and couple that with trying to get reasonable returns over a period of time. The world is pivoting towards high technology. We've seen a lot of hearing a lot of things related to bitcoins, to artificial intelligence, machine learning, NFTs, non-fungible tokens, clean energy, electric vehicles. These are things that we hear every day. There's a lot of talk of disruption going on. I personally follow all of these new tech trends very closely, and I'm fascinated by how things are shaping up. And as and when we get opportunities to invest in any company where we see long-term value can be created or long-term wealth can be created, we'll definitely do so. The other aspect that we have to remember is that at least in the last 20 years that I have been active in the market, we've never had a situation where Nifty or the market as such has back to back 2 years of 50% plus growth. So I'll be very surprised if this year we end up having as great a run as we had last year. So I think the best way forward is to have low expectations. I think, as Charlie Munger said even very recently, the way to happiness is to have low expectations, right? So again, let me reiterate: if you have low expectations, you will not make rash decisions in trying to reach for yield. You're not going to try to make that extra 10% return, and which is what happens in a bull market. If you go back in history, and a lot of investors, that people who come on TV, people who are well known, you'll find that after every bull market, a lot of these kinds of people blow up. And the reason that they blow up is simply because in the frenzy of a bull market, they sort of loosen up their quality filter and they buy whatever crap that is going up. Now, that is fine if you have a exit strategy, or if you are running a systematic strategy like what we are doing in quant. But if you are not, then 99 times out of 100 you will get trapped when the bull market ends. And I have seen many situations where people will give up 80-90% of the gains that they've made in a bull market by the time the small cap or the mid cap stocks crash. So again, to reiterate, have low expectations, moderate expectations, and always think of risk. End of the day, it's your hard-earned money that you are putting on the line. So be very careful of risk. What happens in a bull market, especially for people who are new to the market, is it takes away the the sense of risk. You tend to feel that this is how it is. So what 2020 sort of will teach a lot of new entrants in the market is that no matter what happens in the economy, the market is going to go up, right? And someday, whether it's today, tomorrow, or 5 years or 10 years down the line, that will come back to butcher them, and a lot of them will get killed. So always remember that nothing goes up all the time. It's not possible. At some point in time, it will come back, and it will come back to the ground. So be very very careful of risk, especially when markets are strong. In a bear market, a lot of errors will not make a difference because you are buying into low valuations. But in a bull market, most of the time you are buying into high valuations, so a mistake is going to cost you very dearly over a period of time. So at the cost of repeating myself probably now for the third or fourth time, be very careful of risk in your portfolios. The lessons that I took away from 2020, none of these are new lessons. It's just that events sort of reinforce the lessons that you've already learned. First and most important thing is that shit happens. It's two words and very very apt in this kind of a situation. You don't know what is going to happen. You don't know where things will come and hit you from. Risk is what's left when you think you've thought of everything. I love this quote, and one of the best examples of this is if you look back into all the annual reports and you do a semantic search, you will not find the word pandemic in any annual report before 2020 or before 2021, for example. Nobody ever thought of pandemic as a risk. And look what happened. 90% of the global economies went into recession. Right? So, the point I'm trying to make is you can think of 10 different things, think of how to protect yourself from them, but it is possible that you will get hit from something which is coming out of the 11th or the 12th thing that you've not thought of. The other thing that is sort of got reinforced this year is that you have to be comfortable with uncertainty and volatility, right? You cannot say that I will sit idle and just sell my stocks if things go up and down. Equities by nature are volatile. Life is uncertain. Investments, companies, businesses, everything is uncertain. Nobody knows what's going to happen tomorrow, right? So you have to embrace that uncertainty, learn to live with the volatility, and have some basic processes which you use, right? That will help you navigate this entire scheme of things. Otherwise, we all tend to panic or get overexcited at the wrong times, right? So having a process which is well defined is very very important, whether you are doing it quantitatively or qualitatively. The other thing is that I think which every one of us have noticed is, if the news flow is bad does not mean that the markets are going to be bad, because typically markets will try to look forward. And obviously liquidity is supreme. If you pump, or if the government pumps in money, there is going to be a large effect. So these were my lessons that I learned, or that I got reinforced in this particular year. Now some thoughts on what we are planning from the advisory perspective. So there are 4 things that I keep getting regular requests for. First one is that the quant subscription price is very high and it also requires a lot of capital to get started. The second is, Abhishek, thanks for your advisory for the Indian stocks, but do you have something for US, UK or global markets? Third is for, when are you going to start a PMS, or how can we get some execution assistance, because we don't have time on things like that. So that's the third. And the fourth is, can we have a sort of a single portfolio where we combine long term and hit picks kinds of stocks. So these are the four most common requests I keep getting practically every other week. So let me share my thoughts on each of them. So first of all, we've been working on something called as Q10. I'll elaborate more when we launch it later this month. This is only going to be in small case. I'm trying to sort of ease off as much as of my overhead as possible, because I want to focus on building new strategies, and I want to focus on doing my fundamental and technical research. I don't want to spend an inordinate amount of time trying to do operational stuff. So it's going to be a strategy which is similar to Q30, but it is going to be complementary. So it's not going to be the same as Q30. It's going to be a basket of 10 stocks, so it's likely to have a higher volatility. The churn is going to be definitely higher because it is not going to have a 3-month holding period. So all existing subscribers to Q30 who are direct subscribers on our website will be getting access to it by default, right? So if you've already subscribed to Q30, please do not subscribe to Q10 again. Because I've put it right now on beta in small case, I keep getting requests on this. Should I subscribe? Please do not, unless you believe that you have a lot of money that you want to donate to me. In which case, also don't subscribe. You can donate to me by sending the money over directly to my, to my bank account. The details you'll find on the website. Right? I'll be very happy to take any form of donation. So again, to reiterate, we'll be launching this probably by the mid of this month, trying to address two things. It's a lower priced subscription, and second is that the basket is going to be cheaper to buy when you buy the set of stocks. And we'll try to see that it is complementary to what you're doing in Q30. Second is about global stocks. I've parked it for now simply because I don't have the bandwidth right now. What I've decided to do is I will be covering some interesting global businesses from time to time, which you can use as inputs to your decision making process if you are investing in the US or UK or globally. Again, this will be part of the existing long term advisory, so you don't need to go and take anything, take any other subscription or anything like that. So it's going to be part of the existing long term advisory. The third one is about PMS. Right now I've not progressed on that as yet. There are a lot of moving parts in that, so it's going to take some time. In the interim, I'm working on a assisted portfolio structure. I will come back if something fructifies. So it's basically going to be some kind of a model where we tie up with a leading broker, and you open an account with them, and then they help you with the execution, and we don't get in the way. I don't get any commissions or anything, brokerages from this entire system. It's just a way of seeing if something can be worked out, so that it helps you in the execution. The last one is the single portfolio of long term and hit picks. Again, it's there at the back of my mind. I'm working on again a small case only strategy for this, but I don't have a timeline, or I cannot for sure say that it's something that I will be starting off. But if and when we do, definitely you'll come to know about it. The whole approach idea is going to be more of having like a core and satellite approach. So a subset of long term portfolio as the core, and hit picks or technofunda kind of stocks with a higher churn as the satellite set of the portfolio. So that's the objective, or at least that's the thought process. We'll see how we can get or how we can go forward with that, if at all we get there. And these are some of the references that I've used in today's presentation. And with that, thank you for being part of our journey. I hope you've got as much enjoyment and value that I have got in the last 1 year while doing this. Thanks for being part of us, and hope to see you continue this great relationship. Thanks.